Hello and welcome to PrusaLive 28. Super excited to have you all here. I'm joined as always with Mikla Sousa and
Hey.
Joseph Prusa. I'm Matt Stoltz, and we've got a great show for you guys tonight. We have Aura from Synthetic Ephemera with us tonight to talk about the resin printing that she does with SL1 and the kind of cool techniques that she uses. But we've got some exciting news when it comes to resin printing that some of you guys may have already heard, and we're gonna talk about a little bit later on. But before we get to that, let's talk about our Prusa printers picks of the week. What you got, Mickey?
I don't have an SLA print today because I thought this stream would be full of SLA prints, but I have a SpaceX fanboy Griffin. So
Nice.
if you follow SpaceX, they have these huge titanium grid fins, the single biggest pieces of casted titanium in the world. And yeah, when the booster re-enters the atmosphere, this is what they use to steer the rocket, which is ridiculous. Like it's a skyscraper going down at yeah, like orbital speeds. Anyway, yeah. So this is an awesome print by M. Boyer. It is of course on PrusaPrinters. I believe I have it open right here. Yeah, and it prints flat like this. Needs just like a microscopic amount of support from the bottom, but yeah, I like it. It doesn't really have any purpose other than that it looks cool. So there you go.
Nice. Very nice. So my print is not a resin print either, but it is the beginning of summer, and summer is time for tiki. So this is the tiki vase. It also comes in like a soda or beer can koozie. This is by our good friend Bugman 140.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, and it's printed. I printed it in the Mystic Brown, which in vase mode comes out very, very purple.
It looks gorgeous
yeah.
on the video.
It's like
Yeah,
very trippy how it's
yeah,
like
it's
shines.
it's a
It
great
just,
print. And of
I
course, in
mean,
the Mystic stuff, it looks so good.
on the video, it just looks like darkness and a reflection.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a fun print. I'm going to print some more of them. As soon as my wife saw it, she of course asked for it for succulent pots. So I'm going to print some short and fat ones for some pots
Awesome.
for her. So
Joe, you have
which will be
an
good.
unusual print.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of cheating. These are not on PrusaPrinters, but if enough
Yet.
people ask for it, we will put them there. They are our internal tests. And my print is actually an SLA print. And I was teasing it on Twitter. So this is the full build volume of the SL1S SPEED. And I was asking people on Twitter what they guess is the print speed on this. And it is actually 57 minutes.
So the full height, you can fill the volume.
And as I was saying, that we are not sure of the actual speed limits of the SL1S yet. So this is for quick prototyping actually quite amazing. And this is 300 microns, which is not a very usual print height because not many SLA printers can shine enough UV light to cure the resin. And this one is our another test model. And this is 200 microns, and this is 1 hour 49 minutes. And this is the full build volume. So we are quite amazed what we can do
It's
with
crazy.
the
That's
SL1S.
yeah, ridiculously fast. And in the promo material, I think we say like 2 hours for the draft mode, and that's still being pretty conservative because
Yeah.
if you use the clear resin like Joe did, and kind of taller layer height, you can really get ridiculous speeds.
Yeah, this is more of a tease because it cannot be done with every resin
Yeah,
because you need for the light to be able to pass through the material. But definitely for quick prototyping, it is amazing.
Yeah, which is great for clear resin and plenty of things you're going to want to paint anyways. So
Yes.
why not? That's amazing. Super cool. And yeah, with that, I guess that's already moving on in.
Yeah.
So we'll move on into our news segment, which is all about the SL1S launch. So yeah, that S is for speed, as we're talking about there. Yeah, what all do we have that is this upgrade?
I mean, it sounds like we just slapped a monochrome screen on it, but like the opposite is the true.
Right.
When, for example, there is like 4 times as more powerful UV LED grid, and before there was like a small UV matrix and then like a reflector that targeted the light upwards. But now there are these like big cells where there's a UV LED in the middle, and there are lenses on top of it that direct the rays to be like parallel and go straight through the pixels, so that it's even more accurate. So
yeah, but actually these lens arrays are quite common now.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we always like to go a step further, and there is a special masking. How would you say it? A grid underneath, which actually enables us to have like very, very, very even exposure time over the whole print area. I guess you remember or you saw online people like putting sheet of paper on the LCD screen, and you see like the grid. We minimize that, so the exposure time is completely the same. And we are for this grid, we are actually using our new carbon fiber.
Oh yeah,
PC
that's
blend.
Right. This is a printed part, right?
Yeah.
And it can survive the pretty intensive heat that is produced.
And UV exposure, and for a long time.
Yeah.
So that is quite amazing.
It's great. It's great to see like us coming out with these new products and then automatically putting them into use back into our products.
Yeah.
And there are many optimization. On the first side, the printer actually looks quite similar to SL1, but there is a lot of changes and a lot of optimizations under the hood. So we were actually questioning ourselves if we should call it SL2 or SL1S, because we definitely think that amount of speed increase should be enough for calling it SL2. But we decided to go with the SL1S speed, because the speed is amazing.
Right. And Mickey's pulling it out there, but it's not just not just about the LEDs or anything else. That there's a new VAT system included also.
There is a reason why the release article is this long. If you go on on PrusaPrinters blog, you can of course read it all. But there are so many changes. So one of them is the new plastic wet. So it is cheaper, which is great because people can now buy several. There is like an injection molded or vacuum formed lid.
We have the lid, so you can have more for the resins you are printing. We would not suggest to leave the unused resin there for a long time, because you should after every print, or at least every couple of prints, filter it so there are no like loose parts in.
Yeah.
But it is definitely nice, so you don't have to clean the wet before using different prints or different resins.
Which I think we will talk about with our guest, but that will come in a moment. So that's one of the things. There's also, the little thing like having 25% bigger print platform, which is pretty significant. It looks a little bit different. It has angled sides, and it's bigger, and the print goes basically all the way to the side.
Yeah, the sloped sides were like one of the most requested things.
It's nice. I like it.
Yeah,
keeps the resin off the top.
Yeah, but in our testing, there was not a big difference. But we listened to everyone.
Yeah.
And we are quite happy. We are now also starting to work with some partners for more specific use cases like medical printing, and you know, we as we were always open about this, we do not aim this printer to, you know, buy it if you want to print a couple of figures a year. So it's such a shame that, you know, people still think that we are aiming to compete with cheap throwaway printers you can buy for $200, because this is a workhorse you can have for years.
People say that they print the same, but we have the printers in our office and they do not print the same. It's pretty different experience, both, you know, working with the printer and the print result itself. So
they're just built so rock solid, and it's very noticeable. We were talking about it kind of
so
beforehand.
Heavy.
If you want to know the difference, just pick up an SL1 versus pick up like just lift it up, and you'll instantly be able to tell the build quality difference.
I mean, I don't want to get too specific, but just the bill of materials of the SL1 and SL1S is significantly more than the fully assembled Mark III.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and you were talking about the longevity of it too. You know, we obviously added in the monochrome screen, so you're getting the faster exposure times because of the monochrome screen and better light blocking. But those monochrome screens also come with better lifespans also.
Yes, it's 4 times longer the lifespan actually.
Yeah. So you're going to be replacing your screens a whole lot less if you're doing production work.
Yeah, the reason why is that actually on the standard normal screens, the UV light just passes through the blue pixels, and the red and green are just absorbing all the amount of UV radiation, which is like 2/3.
Yeah, and turning it into heat, I assume.
It is even more than 2/3, because, you know, the pixel is the pixel, and then there is the area around.
Yeah.
Like, you can know it from VR, the screen door effect, and the space between the pixels also absorbs the excess radiation, and it heats up the display. And we are cooling it, and we were cooling it even on SL1, but you know, there's still a lot of energy going into this space. And it is also the reason why we chose not to go for the 4K screen, because if you have smaller pixels, you still have to have the circuitry around it. So it is so much less efficient, and you know, we couldn't go as fast. And we think that, you know, MSLA printing deserves to be pretty fast, especially if you are, in the dentist office and you want to print the set of the models for making invisible braces. You can do a couple sets a day now, instead of, you know, having to run it overnight.
It is so much faster. Yeah,
and I think that's a big point. Like when we first started talking about the SL1S, and you guys were like telling me how fast this was going, you know, I think that was a major point. Is for actual production or someone who's using this, you know, in a work environment. You know, you're now being able to get a couple prototypes out within, you know, a single work day. You're not waiting overnight for things to come back out. And you know, so that takes the potential of getting things, you know, down to you know, a couple days rather than a couple weeks.
I was talking on after the release in the Facebook groups, and I see Tom Kamin is in the chat, and I was explaining the fact that if you are doing mass production, obviously the bigger volume is better, because you can have more of the same, and you can print, you know, each layer takes the same time. But actually, if you just want one print, then it really depends on the speed you can go, because you don't care if you have more of the same. And for prototyping, and if you really just need one of the same, this is the way to go.
Someone in chat was again circling to 4K screens. So yeah, basically at this size, it would block more light. It would slow the print down. We are already with the 2K screen at 50 micron resolution. So basically, if you want to see pixel, you have to either take a microscope or use a macro lens on your camera take a macro photo and then enlarge it really, really big, and then you can maybe make out the pixels.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically at this size, like there would be very little advantage to 4K screen and some disadvantages. So.
Yeah, and also what makes much bigger difference is to have tuned lens array. So the rays from two LEDs, when they go up, they don't like overshoot, which creates sections which are overexposed and they are not as sharp.
Again, don't want to name anyone, but having a 4K screen and the light going through the pixels sideways kind of mitigates the extra resolution because the ray isn't going where the pixel is lighting up. So it's kind of...
and, as I saw so many posts, it is just the same as every other mono printer.
Yeah, it's not.
For example, someone was asking if they get the sensor or probe for actually probing the screen and the uniformity of the light. So what we do in the factory, we have huge testers and we test the emissivity of every screen, and we take that information and burn it into the LCD driver, which is the chip which controls the LCD. It is stored there, and when you plug a new screen into the SL1S, it reads that and adjusts that. So when you replace the screen, you don't have to tune the settings, which is, I think, exactly what people want, at least the group of customers we are aiming with this printer. Because as I said many times, there is no point for us to try to compete with cheap throwaway printers because we never could go down close to $200, and I would certainly not want to put something like that out.
Just really quickly, someone in the chat also talked about the carbon filter and if it how it smells. So yeah, the SL1 has an activated carbon filter, and it makes with the combination of fine-tuned the fan speed basically, so it doesn't blast all the air out unnecessarily. It only blasts so much that it cools itself enough. It makes a really significant difference. I wouldn't put the printer in my bedroom, of course, but if you're if it's in a workspace, you really barely notice it. Only when someone opens it up, then you're there's a resin printer in the room. But otherwise, it's very, very minimal and definitely way, way less smelly than other printers.
And also this problem comes from, I would say, very wild resin receipts. Because and there might be something on the way which
will improve this even more.
Which doesn't have weird smells. You have no idea what is it.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
But also, when he showed the video of the filter, there is an adapter available if you are, having multiple, or if you are really printing all day, you can just slap an adapter and went out of the space, which is the best way. You don't have to care for the filters, and it will never get smelly.
Can you talk about the boost board? If you order the upgrade, yes, there are several things inside, including a boost board. There isn't anything super exciting to talk about. It's just it's necessary to make the right voltage.
With 4 times more power going into the UV light source, we had to switch out the power supply. And thanks to the economy of scale, we are actually using the power supply which comes with the Mini. And you get a little adapter, you get the new array, new tilt platform, new LCD. You will have the same printer as the SL1S, which comes out of the factory.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, something that's becoming a little bit more commonplace, but we were one of the early ones to kind of create something like this. We don't just have the SL1S, we also have the CW1.
Yes.
And now there's the CW1S too. There's been some updates to that platform also. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Mickey?
Yeah, it's not a huge difference, but very nice quality of life thing. The platform is covered with, is it PI or FEP? One of those. Either way, it doesn't get sticky. You can clean it really easily. And the difference, we will be releasing, I think, printed parts, so you can do the upgrade yourself.
Yeah, and the FEP foil.
So yeah, there is an upgrade to CW1S, but we will be releasing the files and everything, and you can still use your CW1. It's still
and also when we released the CW1, there were a lot of duplicates right after that. But we keep adding new features like resin heating, which is especially important for some specialty resins which need to be printed at constant temperature and other stuff like that.
Yeah, I have to say the CW1 really makes it like
it's the washer dryer. It's the washer dryer combo for sure. It's it gets everything done for you. So for those of you that don't know about the CW1, it does all these functions. It cleans your print afterwards. It post cures your print. It heats your resin. I
still wear a glove, but it's just so much less dirty to just take the platform, wash it in the CW1S, and let it cure it.
And when you are just playing this video and I see us flipping the case up, I mean.
Yeah, that's another small thing, but
when I was playing with other printers, I just don't get it how people can function with just lid, which you have to pull out, put on, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
It's the small things that end up really annoying you over time.
Quality of life.
Yeah. All right, we've been babbling about the SL1 for quite a while. How about we let someone else join us to talk about SL1
absolutely.
printing?
Yeah, it is time to bring our guest in. So we are being joined by Aura from Synthetic Ephemera, and Aura actually uses she uses our SL1, the current one, for production work in her business, where she makes ball joint dolls. And so. Aura, why don't you explain, to start off, what exactly is a ball joint doll?
Hi. So, ball jointed dolls, the quick and dirty is they are traditionally resin casted, not resin printed, dolls that use a ball and socket system that are strung with elastic. And that looks like this.
Nice.
So, elastic. In this case, it's a kind of peanut-shaped joint, and then they're posable.
So my He-Man characters He-Man action figures from being a kid, would those be considered like ball joint dolls or like G.I. Joes? Because I know they had the elastic inside of them too.
If the joints are free floating or attached to like free floating, this is what I mean when I say free floating.
Yeah.
Or say the joint was attached to one limb and the elastic was through, yes. If they were the pin and hinge style where it was like a joint that had a pin through it, then they're pin and hinge dolls.
Right.
And some of those do have elastic in it because they're using it as the tensioner to keep things where they want it. But for at least in the ball jointed doll community, when people say ball jointed dolls, they mean the ones that have either free floating or attached to one limb joints that are using elastic from the neck all the way down to the feet and from wrist to wrist through the body cavity.
Neat. Yeah, so you said that previously they were done as a cast technique, but now you've taken that of skip all those molds and be able to do it with resin printer. So you essentially get the same quality of output from them, but the ability to customize, I imagine, is much greater.
It is. I mean, there's still something to be said for hand sculpting and making your master and casting it, but there are things that can be done now with 3D printing that you'd be hard pressed to do with a mold because it's just not going to be moldable. Whereas
Right.
you can print it out and it's just there, it's done. And we're making our masters in 3D print and then using those to make casted as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's being utilized in both aspects, not just the casting hasn't gone away. In fact, casting is still the primary function by which these dolls are created, but there's more and more people turning to 3D printing to make their dolls.
One specific way you're using our printers, and that's actually something that we haven't really even talked about the SL1S, and that's the tilting mechanism. And it has some advantages, like, it's much faster, it peels, better because it peels it gradually. But you are taking advantage of another thing, and that's that it stirs the resin when it tilts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and this comes from the casting, the poured casting. Everybody adds glitter to their poured casted resin. And I was like, I want to know if I can do this in the 3D printer resin because it's a similar resin. They're not the same, but they're similar. So I just dumped a bunch of glitter and mica in one of my vats one day, and lo and behold, it works. The tilt function, though, on the SL1 is, I would say it's the biggest factor to getting successful glitter prints because of the tilt function. It keeps the suspension of all the particles. It acts as a stirring mechanism. So what a lot of people who have tried this have found, if they're using machines that don't have a tilt or a wipe function, all their glitter or mica just settles to the bottom, and you'll get the first couple of layers of your print, which is usually your supports, will have all the glitter, and then your print will have nothing else in it.
Do we have Thomas watching our stream?
Yeah, he also experimented with this
Right.
and had pretty great success using the SL1.
And bro, the others.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a big help. So
but I have to put out the disclaimer that I'm not sure if this is. I mean, if you break the printer, if this will be covered by warranty.
So far, I haven't had.
I mean, but that is covering us. But there are some resins which are by default suspensions, like the ceramic resins.
Yeah, PrusaLive.
Yeah, but I can imagine after this show a lot of people putting weird stuff into their resins.
So that particular one you're showing right now, that's not edited. There's no trickery or anything going on.
Looks
That's
incredible.
actually that bright and glowing like that, just raw out of the print bed. And that's all mica and dye in clear resin.
Yeah, I'm thinking like with mica, if you have like fine ground mica, there is no way how you can damage it. But the big glitters.
Yeah, big. I don't advise people to use big glitter because it does tear up the FEP. It digs in underneath the edges of the FEP. I haven't had it leak yet, but if you don't want to have to go through FEP a lot, don't use glitter. Mica, no problem, because it's about the same consistency as a lot of the pigments and some of the heavier pigmented resins. So it's not really much different.
It is maybe a little bit hard to make in the stream, but yeah, it's basically very fine glitter, galaxy-like. It's just
it reminds me a lot of like the car metallic paints because I think they are using mica too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so is there the same effect as with the car paint? What I mean is that you basically have to paint the parts of the car in the direction they are going to be on the car, because then the mica would set a different angle.
Yes. So you basically need to align the part that how you want to view it with the vat bottom or the print bed. Or it does show up to an extent, but the vast majority of what you see is going to be whatever surface is aligned with the vat, just because of how the layers work.
Yeah.
And if you tilt your part ever so slightly, it causes it to be viewable at a little bit more extreme angle than just straight on.
Very
Yes,
interesting.
I was wondering about this when I saw your prints. So I'm glad I got the answer that actually the orientation matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you notice it, all the ones that I have on the beds, instead of them being like the body parts being horizontal or vertical, they're all horizontal with a slight tilt, which is something most people try not to do because then you're having more support contact points. But it's the only way to really get that flash on the fronts and the backs of the parts where you want it to be viewed most.
They are super cool. Do you have any of the dolls that you've designed? Do you have a favorite of these? Anything that
Like one of the favorite print colors so far?
or yeah, one of your favorite print colors, combinations, but also just characters that you've made, anything super unique or interesting?
So that bright blue one's for sure, that one that almost glows, is so far my favorite mix that I've done, just because
Yeah,
it's
that one is
so
great.
bright
Yeah.
and glowy, and it's like
It's
it's
insane, yeah.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
doll wise, I like, this is all one version of a doll that I've been printing that I sculpted. But it's fun when I get customer requests for like wings and things, like the pink one that you had. That's one of mine. That's actually a doll head.
Is it a doll head? It looks like
it's
a
a doll
skull.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a cow
That
skull.
was, yeah, that one was really fun too, and it worked out really well with the glitter and the mica. It's got antlers that attach to it, but I couldn't fit them on the SL1 build plate, so they got printed separately.
Oh yeah, so this is some, I can see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a sculpt by my one of my friends, Bat Chicks, but she let me print it with one of my mica mixes. That's kind of an opalescent.
That's another, like, I love this, the effect that the mica is having.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous. I remember we talked about this one a few months ago, and it's just such a cool print.
So do you know how long it took you to print something like this?
She was probably about 8 or 9 hours.
So with the upgrade,
Somewhere in there.
you'll be able to do it in like 4.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So
Yeah, I'm super excited about the speed improvement, because I mean the build plate's full of the body parts that you've shown a couple of times already. Those take me about 4 hours right now, because it doesn't have a lot of Z height.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I can crank out, like 6 dolls, 7 dolls a day now, that would be awesome.
So there's already a joke about the speed inside our company. So when David was testing it, one of our colleague, Honza, came to him that he needs to print buttons for a suit, and he started it, and Honza started to go away, and he said, "Where are you going? It will be done in like 5 minutes. Just wait here."
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah, this speed is definitely, because I come from using laser-based machines, which are slow. I mean, they're great, but they're slow. They're incredibly slow. So the SL1 alone is fast by what I'm used to, and then now the SL1S is just gonna make that even.
The unintuitive thing is that it doesn't matter how many parts you put on the build plate. The only thing that matters is the tallest object on it, which even after, like, I don't know, is it 2 years since we released the SL1, I still am having a hard time like getting used to it.
Yes.
That this and this is the same height, so yeah, pretty much the same when you look at it time wise.
Yeah, it's if people are doing like production level printing where they need to just do a lot of stuff, you can't beat the speed of this style of printer because it's, yeah, you can load the board up with all your parts and it's going to take the same amount of time if you just do one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the difference to a laser.
Yeah. But I guess, Mickey, that comes from the fact that we started with FDM printers.
That's true.
Some people
Yeah.
just started with SLA
Yeah.
or
I am my
resin
brain
printing.
is forever
Yeah.
hardwired for G-code and,
Yeah.
and tool paths with plastic.
Yeah, you know, I have like a G-code simulator in my head that when we change settings, I can simulate in my head how it's going to look after printing, but I don't have that for the SLA.
Yeah.
You know, I still have to try a lot.
Yeah. Now we see a video there of the mica powder being mixed. Where are you sourcing your mica powders? If people wanted to get started with this, is there any particular brand or place where you're getting them? You know, what's the technique that you're using there?
So I use, if it'll focus, it's well, that's not mirrored. It's Arteza. But to be honest, you can use any mica as long as it's either synthetic mica or ethically sourced mica. That's really, I mean, I've used all sorts of different brands. I currently have a big 60 pack of all the colors that Arteza makes. And then for glitter, you can do glitter. That actually has mica and glitter in it. That's the Azure Blue, the Prusa resin Azure Blue with mica and glitter in her.
So is it the same with mica as it is with glitter? And what I mean, once you work with glitter, you will have it everywhere for a very long time.
Mica's the same way. It's just less noticeable because it's fine powder instead of little teeny chunks. You will notice it, like the inside of my moais are sparkly from all the mica that I've put in them.
Is your computer mouse like mica-ish?
No.
sheen?
Oh no. The surface that our SL1 is though it's sparkly and mica colored, so it does get everywhere. It's not as noticeable though as glitter. It's not like you're gonna be 3 weeks later looking at yourself in the mirror and like, what?
Where is this glitter coming from?
Yeah, it does seem like precautions with anything with resin printing. Precautions should be made. And,
Yeah.
Be careful spilling this stuff. Yeah, super cool. Do you have any other like tips or techniques, for actual like production resin printing? Anything that you have found over the years that really helps you out?
Always go heavier with your supports than you think you're gonna need, and then back down, because having a failed print right off the bat is super discouraging, and you can always back your support density and thickness down after the fact once you ensured that it will just print.
Are you hollowing your prints?
With the dolls, they actually have their channels for the elastic already built in, so they're kind of. But for larger stuff that like I've done, if I can get it picked up off that's a horn for a doll, and this one isn't hollowed just because of how small it is, but larger ones I will hollow out just to save on the resin, and then the suction forces to keep those as low as possible.
I want to ask, do you coat your parts before you send them out, like with UV protective paint?
Yeah, I use especially for the transparent glitter dolls, just to retain the shine. I use a archival grade high gloss, so it's got UV protectants built in, and then it also retains that shine. Like, this is the difference. This is not coated, so it's pretty dull. And then this is coated, so it's shiny.
Shiny, way shinier.
And it also restores some of the transparency because, I mean, anyone
Yeah.
who's dealt with transparent resin, the second you wash it, it just fogs.
Yeah, but also it greatly increases longevity of the prints because
Yeah.
by default they are not UV. They have to be UV transparent to be able
Yeah.
to be cured. But basically, if you would have the print close to a window, that it would degrade the print for a long time, and it wouldn't last that long, or it will deform.
Yeah,
So definitely use the coating.
Yeah, and the casted dolls are the same way. The polyurethane resin is UV sensitive. Now it's not as nearly UV sensitive as the printed resin, but some of the same. There's a lot of crossover between the two just because they are resins and they're UV sensitive and they break down over time. So yeah, coating, even if you're not using a transparent print and you're using something else, they make matte finish UV protectant sprays. Hit your parts with those, your resin parts.
Yeah.
It's gonna keep them from yellowing. It's gonna keep them from degrading. You're not, I still wouldn't stick it in a sunny window, but it at least it helps over the long term.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, if anyone was interested in seeing more of your work, obviously we have the Instagram there. And if anyone is interested in purchasing any of your dolls, where would they go to get some of that?
My Instagram or my website, which is syntheticephemera.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes.
Thanks. It was
It was
very
awesome
interesting.
to be here.
Yeah, it was very
Seb,
cool.
thank you for having me.
Very different topic than I would normally I know what's the word research. So it was very interesting for me.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think,
for
but
coming.
it's a great explanation of one of those things that the SL1 kind of is able to do because of the
Super cool use
functions
case.
in it. But
Yeah, the tilt function is glitter and microprinting can be done without a tilt function, but you won't catch me ever doing it without a tilt function. So.
Well, fantastic.
All right.
So,
Thanks a lot.
thank
for
thanks
you.
again, and we will talk to you again.
Yep.
Bye.
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 Bye. Super cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love learning new techniques and everything else. I may never print a ball joint doll myself, but that doesn't mean that I might not want to add mica powder into some other print for something else. And so, yeah, very very
I
cool
love
stuff.
all our Galaxy filaments, Galaxy Black, Galaxy Silver, and all of those.
Yeah.
So I think adding mica or glitter to resin is something I might have to try soon.
Well, and similar to the Mystics too, right? You get that color shift.
Yeah,
and
the sheen. Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. All right, so let's talk about our PrusaLive contest winners.
All right, I'm just gonna close 1,000 Instagram tabs, and like it always happens, Google signs me out once every 2 weeks, and it always happens exactly on PrusaLive.
At the worst moment.
I intentionally on a Tuesday, the Tuesday before show, I logged myself out and logged myself back in to change the timing off of doing it in the middle of PrusaLive.
I have number 3 coming up. It was really,
All right.
really pretty hard competition for this
It
PrusaLive.
was.
Sorry.
So we have Jason of Beat Printing at number 3 and his T800 bust from Terminator.
I like that he has this photo collage here that he shows the entire process that he went through to go from the base print to adding all the different the different layers.
And he's showing what's he inserting in there? Is that like?
I did miss that.
Oh,
let's see.
Is it a piggyback of some sort?
Is that?
Oh.
I mean, there it goes.
Neat.
Will it start the eyes or something?
Yeah, so nice. That's number 3. Congrats, Jason.
Yeah. And again, for those of you that may not have seen previous shows, every show, we have this show us your prints competition, and all you have to do to enter is take a picture of one of your prints on your SL1 or your Mark III or your Mini, and send photos with the hashtag #PrusaLive over Twitter, and you could have a chance to win some filament.
I mean, speaking about sheen and, cool shine, look at number 2. Oh, look at it. It's also awesome. So it's by Dersep Osmhaus. Sorry for butchering that name, but that print is incredible.
Yeah, it's a super cool model swamp thing there, and then doing it in the Mystic Green is just perfect for it.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean, he says that the photos cannot show the streaks very good, but even though the photos, it looks
Oh yeah, it
gorgeous.
looks great.
Also,
Beautiful
I have to
print.
compliment. I don't know if it was intentional, but the way the light strikes it, it really helps to show the form. If it was lit from the front, it would hide all the details, but because those details are casting shadow, it's like this is how you would light a portrait photography or something. It's very nice actually.
It's a well lit shot.
Yeah. All right, and we are moving to number 1. This one is also incredible. It's by 3D Cave, or also known as Florida Man.
Yeah.
And look at it. Absolutely incredible. His Mark IIIs. You can see he likes to tinker. Like that's.
I remember we've seen his Mark III before with all those mods put on there and everything else, and it's really incredible. But yeah, this is really just a matter of that's a lot of pieces and a lot of parts. I know. I know our colleague Shane had made this also.
I love the fact print is still kind of on the bed, I guess.
Yeah, just sort of.
Wow.
Yeah, incredible work.
Congratulations.
Yeah, very cool. So yes, congratulations to all of our winners this week, and I will shoot you a message over Twitter, and we'll get your prizes.
Oh, we have Florida Man in the chat. Nice, congrats.
Wonderful.
Awesome that you're watching.
Florida Man, DM me. So fantastic. Okay, so let's move on to our Q&A. I'm hoping that we will have lots of questions about the SL1.
There were a million questions already while we were talking about it and while we were talking with Aura, so hopefully those will come back again. We can scroll up, but there's a lot of happening in chat, so if you have
it's impossible to follow the chat.
Yeah, if you have a question, it would be best to pop up, write a question again now.
But I see that a lot of people are enjoying the summer because we have like the.
Yeah, and
I don't blame them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I'm also, pleased that it's finally nice weather. I mean, it's a little bit too warm here.
Yeah.
But it's better than being
you
cold.
You can see how red I am.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm having a heat stroke.
Yeah. Why is the name Speed included? I mean, because it's fast. It's really, really, really fast.
Yeah, we really wanted to emphasize this because, as we see now, a lot of people don't read the whole article and they just they just updated the mono screen because that is not true.
Yeah.
I mean, we printed this in 57 minutes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, and this comparison, these are other printers that all also have monoscreen with the exception of the SL1. And you can see that even compared to them, really the difference is quite jarring. One reason for that is the tilting mechanism that we talked about, because it is significantly faster to tilt than to lift the platform up, wait for the resin to flow under it, and to go slowly down again.
Yeah, and also the amount of the energy you can pump into the resin, because the light array is quite powerful.
Yeah, apparently we should have just named it SL Speed. It would be SLS, we actually thought about that, and I know that that's a joke question, but we thought about that, and we didn't do it because that would be so confusing. So yeah, Prusa SLS, and it would be an SLA machine that is called SL Speed. Wow, that would be way too much confusing. Do we plan to do an SL1S assembly kit? I don't think so. I think we are now moving only to assembled for the SL.
The thing is, we might consider it based on the amount of people who are asking us, but during the production, it was not like with the FDM that majority were kits, so we had to keep another assembly line just for the kits, and it was a great hassle for not that many printers. And we much rather, focus on another printers than just making kit of the SLA, which doesn't get so many users.
Planning to make affordable SLA printer. I mean, let's just say we are not quitting SLA development with the release of SL1S. It'll be ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So we will keep going, and
yeah. I mean, we are considering many things, but the cheap, and I like to call them throwaway printers. The competition is brutal, and I'm not sure if enough people would care about being it much more reliable and stuff. But as I mentioned, the bill of materials of the SL1 is quite high, and you definitely get what you pay for. And I'm not sure if we have this, what features we would have to depart when we would go for a much lower final price. But we are definitely considering it.
So, I mean, some people are happy. Like, kudos for not racing to the bottom of SLA printers in the chat. Yeah, I mean, thanks.
Yeah.
3D Guzner, I think I have that name right now. In Discord is asking if the low resin detection will work with the new VATs.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
They are actually. Where did I put it?
It's here.
Yeah, they are actually conductive. We have to make it in composite, so they could the resin sensing might still function.
Is the web front end also available for the SL1? Yes, it is, and I'm sure it will be added to Prusa Connect as well once that's out. We are actually in beta test right now, so progress is happening pretty rapidly.
People outside the company have access to it.
Yes.
And they seem to be pretty excited about it. So
yeah, but they are also reporting a lot of things they would like to see in Connect. So it's a good thing we are doing it, because I'm sure everyone in chat right now would want access, but it will be better when you get it when it's more polished.
Yeah, we actually how did we get to the beta testers we have now? We look at the people who have bigger print farms. And we are working with them because that is the crucial part we have to iron out before it goes out. Because I mean, if you have just single printer, it will be perfect for you. But this is the use case. So
fantastic.
Slicer for iPadOS M1. So we do have a build for M1 chips, but it's for macOS.
Yeah.
I believe there is something you can use to run macOS apps on iPadOS or something like that.
I'm quite not sure about that.
Okay. But yeah, either way, we're not we would have to rebuild everything for touch controls. We're not planning to do that at the moment.
Yes,
so.
not right now, but we've made some progress on the Chrome OS, because that is what a lot of universities are using. So the latest release has much bigger support for this, so it's much less hassle to use it on Chrome OS. And I mean, I use iPads and other tablets, but I just can't imagine preparing print jobs on it.
I mean, when you put the keyboard to the M1 iPad, it basically is the same as the.
But I mean, some people have just the iPad.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, what I know is that we are slowly moving to newer version of OpenGL, which should be more compatible with OpenGL ES, which is what you run on the mobile devices. So maybe someday we will have just like simplified slicer where you just have like a lot less functions, because I can't think that it would be comfortable to use all the settings on just a touch screen.
Would it be possible to make a continuous mode? I guess that's for the SL1S.
Yes, it depends on the film material, but the catch with the continuous printing is you can always print just, you cannot print very hefty parts, because when you are pulling it continuously, the material has to have time to flow under the structure. And if you have something which is solid, like the base, it is very difficult, because the material, before it goes into the middle,
it's already lifted.
It's already cured. So
right.
So
and the viscosity of the resins themselves make that all the slower. So the thickness.
So the continuous printing is obviously not a solution for every print. Something like this might be possible.
Prusa Slicer 2.4. So I believe that's like an alpha is coming quite rapidly, because the team is now working on the changelog. I was just playing with the dark mode on Windows.
Yeah.
And Sasha, the dev, has made really good progress. So even though Windows doesn't support it, she just hacked it in and manually recolored as many elements as she possibly could, even though some of them are not possible to change.
Yeah.
So I think now it looks pretty nice, and I will use it that way. Wi-Fi on the Mini is still coming. It is still being developed, and it will also then be interconnect and everything. Isn't the 2.4 alpha already released? I know I cloned it from GitHub. Well, the source code is public.
It is probably tagged, but
it's tagged. That's right.
But the changelog is not done and the builds are not done.
Yeah, there is not a build
so
available.
You can build it.
Yeah. Brim for individual objects in Prusa Slicer. Yes, that's one of the things that's in Prusa Slicer 2.4, and it's pretty nice. Love it. Is it possible in the next firmware for the Mark III to have the bed leveling similar to how Prusa Mini does it, where it only heats up to 170? This is something that the community is kind of, I feel, separated. Like there's not a unified opinion on it, because some people love it, and some people are annoyed that it prolongs the start of the print a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But it's definitely there was the forum post about what you guys want in the 8-bit firmware for the Mark III, and this is one of the things that was discussed in there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We still have like 2 or 3 minutes left for a few questions.
Someone was asking, Simon Carlo, I would like to print the parts of the X carriage again to make them more rigid. Can someone tell me if it is better to print them with PETG with many parameters or in PC blend?
Well, I would say with PC blend, if you may, but you need to check if it's not bent, that it was really good stuck to the weld plate, and also you have to check that the channels for the bearings are nice and clean, because the PC blend is much tougher, and if there is a debris in one of the channels and it skews the bearing out of the alignment, it might create the grooves on the rods. So the PETG is much more forgivable in this case, but yeah, the PC blend is way to go.
Jakub in the chat is saying that they are using the SL1 and they printed a kidney model for a school project. It's super cool, nice.
Very cool.
We also know that ICAM, a cool hospital / lab,
one of the biggest.
Yeah, the biggest in the world. Yeah,
the most reputable, one of the most reputable transplantology centers in at least in Europe.
Yeah. they are also using it, and we know that, for example, they also printed kidneys, and you might be thinking, why would you print a kidney? Like, how do you use it? It's like one of the thing is making like haptic memory where the veins are, so you can prepare for the surgery better, because it's better than looking at 2D screen.
Yeah, and actually they give the printed kidney to the donor afterwards, so they actually didn't lose the kidney.
Yeah, they get
That is so cool.
they get like a nice token in. It's like it has a really nice.
Yeah, hey, I helped save someone's life.
Yeah, it's nice token that you did something that amazing.
That's very cool. We have time for probably one more.
Okay, better choose a good one, but I feel like we answered really a lot of them.
All right. Well, we can call it there then.
Yes.
I mean, I guess we call it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aura, for joining us. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great 2 weeks. We will see you again soon, and stay safe. Keep printing, and have a good summer. So,
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.